Welcome, dear students. Today we will begin the history chapter number 3, kinship, caste and class. The slides are taken from HSS Live. So watch the video. You can pause in between and note down the important information. Hello students, welcome. Today we will study Indian kings of non-Kshatriya origin. We have learned that in Dharma Sutras and Dharma Shastras, according to the Varnas, the occupations were defined. But when we check our history, when we go into past and study history, we find that there were several kings who were non-Kshatriya. Kshatriya were entitled to rule and to govern. But history speaks different story. So according to the Shastras, only Kshatriyas were supposed to be the kings. But it is observed that any person who is able to muster support and resources and need not to depend on the theory of birth. For example, there are different opinions regarding the origin of the Mauryas. Now, later Buddhist texts suggest that they were Kshatriyas, while the Brahminical texts describe them as the rulers of low origin. The immediate successors of Mauryas were Sungas and Kanvas, who were Brahmins. The Satvana king Gautamiputra Satkarni claimed to be Brahman and destroyer of Kshatriya's pride. So all these historical proof suggest that it was not always, according to Shastras, the work was carried out. We see in our ancient history, kings were from Kshatriya background, some kings came from Brahmin background, some kings came from Vaishya backgrounds also, and some kings came from lower origin also. He also claimed to have ensured that there was no intermarriage amongst members of the four Varnas, but he himself entered into marriage alliance with the king of Rudradaman, Saka ruler. Now who is he? As you go back, it's talking about the last point you can see, Satvana king. Talking about Satvana king. What he did? He claimed to have ensured that there was no intermarriage amongst members of the four Varnas. Okay, you can't marry. There will be no place for intercaste marriage, but he himself entered into marriage alliance with the king of Rudradaman, Saka ruler. So he himself broke that rule. From this example, we can assume that integration within the framework caste was often a complicated process. The Satvanas claimed to be Brahmins, whereas according to the Brahmins, kings ought to have been Kshatriyas. So who were Satvanas? According to their caste, they were Brahmins. So here you find whatever written in Shastras, it was broken by the elite class now and then. They claim to uphold the fourfold Varna order, but entered into marriage alliance with people of other castes. On the one side they are saying, we will maintain this order. On the other side, they themselves were breaking this order. Besides, Brahminical texts prescribed exogamy, but the Satvanas practiced endogamy. Okay, Brahminical text prescribes what? Exogamy, but Satvanas, they practiced endogamy. Now, another word come which is called Malechhas. The Shaka and Kushan rulers who came from Central Asia were regarded as barbarians or outsiders and known as Malechas. Some powerful Malechas were familiar with Sanskrit traditions. So who were Malechas? All those who came from Central Asia, and they were not part of the four Varna system. So Brahmins called them Malecha, means barbarians, means jungli log, the outsiders. Now, concept of jati, information from Mandasore inscription. The social categories were referred to as jati. Varna 4, but each Varna was having different jatis. Like Varna, jati was also based on birth. The Varnas were fixed at 4, but there were no restrictions on number of jatis. For example, in Varna, Brahmins are there, but in Brahmins also there are different jatis, categories. In the same way, Kshatriyas also different categories. So these are called jatis. In fact, whenever Brahminical authorities encountered new groups that did not fit into the fourfold of Varna system, they classified them as jatis. So like we saw the word Malecha. So later on what happened, those who were not fitting into the four folds of Varna system, they were also called jatis, like Janjatis, Vanvasi. For instance, people living in forest such as Nishadas were classified as jatis. The forest dwellers, Vanvasi, they were called jatis, Janjati. Jatis were shared a common occupation or profession, were sometimes organized into shrenis or guilds. So these jatis, they came together and formed their own professional union, which was called shrenis or guild system. The stone inscription found in Mandasore, which is Madhya Pradesh, provides information about this social processes and nature of guilds. So this guild system was predominant that time, and on the stone inscription which is found in Mandasore, which is Madhya Pradesh, that clearly defines the guilds. It records the history of a guild of silk weavers who originally lived in Latra, which is Gujarat, and shifted to Mandasore along with their king folks and children. The membership of the guild was based on shared craft specialization. Some members adopted different occupations. So this guild system, it was basically practiced. People of particular jatis, they were having specialized craft training, they were expert, so they came together and formed a guild or a union or a group. And sometime among them, some member moved out to do some other occupation. The inscription informs us that apart from the common profession shared by the members, they also collectively decided to invest their wealth earned through craft and constructed a splendid temple in honor of the sun god. So these people who were part of shrenis or guilds, they were no doubt very professional, and they gave lot of gifts and donated lot of things to build temples. Now, next topic is beyond the four Varnas. What were the four Varnas? Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishya and Shudras. Then we learned that each Varna was divided into different jatis. Then we also learned that those who were not fitting into the fourfold of Varnas, they were also considered as jatis. So beyond the four Varnas, there were populations whose social practices were not influenced Brahminical ideas such as Nishadas, nomadic pastoralists, etc. There was a sharing of ideas and beliefs between these people. Untouchable and duties prescribed for them in Manusmriti and Shastra. Shudras, basically, they were categorized as untouchables. See, the Brahmins considered some social categories as untouchable. So Brahmins treated some particular group of people that you should not touch them. They are untouchable. Achut hai wo. They were primarily connected with the performance of rituals which they considered as pure. So they avoided taking food from untouchables. Some activities were regarded as polluting, means ashuddh karne wali kuch activities. These included handling corpses, which is dead bodies, and dead animals. Those who performed such tasks were known as chandalas or chandal. In Hindi we call it chandals. You know, they were placed at the very bottom of the social hierarchy. Touching and seeing them was regarded as polluting by the Brahmins. Even Brahmin, looking with their eyes to any untouchable, Brahmin felt he has got polluted, so he will go once again to take bath. Manu Smriti laid down the duties of chandalas. So all these untouchable, Manu Smriti describes what you have to do. Say for example, they had to live outside the village. All these Shudras, untouchable, they can't come and live in villages, outskirts of the villages. Use discarded utensils by the upper caste, wear clothes of the dead and ornaments of iron. They cannot put on the ornaments of gold and silver, only iron. And they have to wear the clothes of dead. Those who died, their clothes were taken out of the home, and these untouchable carried them and they wore them. They could not walk. Okay. They simply could not walk out or inside the villages and cities just like this. They have to wait for the night. Only night time they were allowed to walk into villages and cities. They had to dispose of the bodies of those who had no relatives and serve as executioners. Okay, so this was the job given to them. Now you will find that many travelers came from China. They also observed these untouchable practices. Faxian came to India in 5th century CE and wrote that the untouchables sounded clappers when they entered street, so that the people could avoid the sight. You know, they used to carry clapper, two wooden, flat wooden flaps, and they will, clap it, create a sound, so that the upper caste in the villages will understand from which direction this untouchable is coming. So they will move out of that place immediately. Xuanzang, who came in 7th century CE, observed that executioners and scavengers were forced to live outside the city. Executioners, we know, those who give phansi, they are called executioners. Scavengers mean those who collect the garbages. They were forced to live outside the city. There were instances of chandalas who were not accepting the life of degradation prescribed in the Shastras. So we do find some of the chandalas, untouchable, they revolted against all these practices. They challenged all these practices.